Welcome to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm your host, Shade Curry, and I believe every divorced woman deserves a romantic relationship where she feels safe, loved, and cherished. You can create the most amazing life after divorce, and I will teach you how. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Dating After Divorce podcast. I'm so excited to be with you today. My girlfriend, Chanci Dawn, and I are having a conversation today about body image and dating. Mm-hmm. And if you remember Chanci, she told her dating after divorce story a couple of months ago. So I know many of you love that. And I had so much fun on that episode. I just had to have her back. And if you have not met Chanci, she is a non-diet nutritionist and embodiment coach. Dear Lord. I practiced that.
You did good.
I did good. Thank you. But so, Chanci, welcome. Tell the listeners who you are, what you do, and we'll jump right in.
Thank you so much. And like I was just saying before we pushed record, I just love that you invited me back. Last conversation was so fun and just serving in this way, right? Women who are dating out of just newly or for a while out of marriages. I'm like, this is such an important thing to talk about. So thank you. I really value this whole space that you've created.
Absolutely. Thank you. Tell us what you do again. Like, just remind us what it means to be a non-diet nutritionist and embodiment coach.
I used to be a full-fledged weight loss coach, diet coach. I sold weight loss shakes for a living. And I made a tremendous income helping women really not like themselves, not realizing that's what I did. That was part of my journey. I was right in that, right? And I was like, this is what we need to do. And, this is weight loss. This is all of this stuff. And I really disguised it as like self-care and self-love, not realizing that I was coming from such an unhealed place in that space. There's weight loss coaches out there who aren't, right? I don't want to bash the industry entirely. It's really with intention and heart. And so, but for me, through my journey of healing my relationship with food and my body, I'm like, you know what? Diets, whether it's a lifestyle program, a cleanse, anything that you're doing to intentionally shrink yourself, is just that. It's shrinking yourself. And I don't want anyone to shrink, right? And I'm talking energetically. I'm talking about how you show up in life. Yeah. So the way you do food really is the way you do life. So when I look at this, I'm like, yes, I'm a nutritionist, but I want to teach people how to, and this is the embodiment part, tune in to their bodies, tune into what is right for them, right? What is their definition of beauty, like we were talking about, and we'll get into more, and health. What actually is health? When I really started investigating and learning the fat phobia messages out there and the whole, like how the patriarchy has warped our perception of what health is and what a woman should look like and all of this stuff, I was just like, holy crap, stop the bus. I need to get off what I'm doing, right? I took time off, really self-reflected, really again, deeply healed and this is a journey. I'm not there. I don't want to pretend that I am, but took that time to really go in and heal this and get so close to my creator, right? Like, who am I? What am I here for? And that's what I do now. So it's helping women come home to themselves. The embodiment part is learning how to really deeply build this beautiful relationship with your body. What does she need to thrive? And I hope that explained what I do.
Oh no, that's so good. That is
pretty
so
flowery, but
that's so good. And it's so real. And I was kind of walking through my own journey as well. I don't have as much of a journey in terms of weight loss or my body image. And that's not necessarily better. And I'll tell you why. So it really started with I grew up in Nigeria. So the beauty standard when I was growing up, right now, 2023, when we're recording this, the beauty standard is very much at par with, the Western countries, just because of social media and television. I mean, cable was introduced to, like this, my general awareness and availability, like among my friends and things, I was probably about that time, like 10 years old, when we all just started getting cable TV. So like we were like behind the curve with like the beauty standards. So the beauty standards that I grew up with were mostly just within my immediate family.
Right.
And I have darker skin than one of my sisters. So she was automatically considered the pretty one. And it didn't bother me a lot because I was considered the smart one. Way to go, family of origin. Like, just pit us against ourselves. And like, we were just out of the gate. Like, everyone had the thing that they had. And it was just automatically decided that the other person didn't have it. So then I just sort of, not in a painful way, just like, it just seemed like a fact that I wasn't pretty, but that wasn't necessarily a bad thing per se. So overall, I was just kind of like, okay, this is my thing. Right. And so I wasn't very engaged with my body image or how I looked. I think because there was just so much attention on other parts of me, which is good. That has been a good thing for me. So, and I was also very, I had a couple of incidents where I grew up, like I was really skinny, like beanpole skinny, and, and got made fun of, skinny shade, jokes here and there. But those barbs didn't like sink in very deep because, like, again, I had this other thing. So it was just, and so I wasn't very connected. I didn't have a lot of thoughts about how I looked until somewhere in my early 20s, like I was 21 and 22. And then I was like, and I don't remember exactly what was happening at that point. I think I was dating. I think maybe I was 20. And I was dating, and of course, the cultural standards in Nigeria were curvy, like, boobs and the butt and all that. I had none of that. And I remember for like 2 weeks going on this like carb diet to like gain weight.
Yeah.
And then I was eating pasta, and then I was like, you know what, this is dumb. Like, I think it probably lasted like 5 days. And something in me just said, this is dumb. And then I just stopped. And that was really it. That was my entire body image journey, like my whole life.
You know what's so funny? My brain is like, oh man, I'd love 5 days where I could just sit and eat pasta all day.
My diet was the patriarchal thinking kept trying to seep in. And somehow my brain had like this automatic like switch, like, no, we're not doing that.
No, that is so good. Yeah. You're smart, right? There's the smarts coming through.
Right. So that has been a blessing in many ways, even though I don't know that I can take credit for like consciously being that way. So when I started working with women who were dating, I actually had to like take a step back and connect with their journey and ask myself, what's going on here? Why don't you think you're attractive? Why are you spending 3 hours getting dressed before a date? Like, what's going on? So I had to admit that I wasn't very connected to that part of their journey. And I think that's one of the blessings of my third certification, which is my feminist coaching certification.
Absolutely.
And Cara Lowenthal really delved into it. And I'm like, oh, this is what's happening. And I've been able to like take that material and help my clients, like kind of like on a one-on-one and group basis, to understand why they're having such a hard time believing in just their own enoughness when it comes to their body image.
Absolutely. Yes. When I had you on my podcast talking about this, and when you said, I haven't done that certification, I would love to. But when you were talking about that, I'm like, oh, amazing. Like, I remember getting goosebumps and thinking, this is who's teaching women and coaching women about, dating and body image. And thank you, Sade, for taking the time and doing what you need to do to be able to be equipped. So wonderful.
Thank you. All right. Where do we want to begin?
Where do we want to begin? Well, you brought up beforehand, I think it's so, can we talk about the hair removal thing?
Let's just jump right to the
Let's just start there. And the reason I want to is because personally, like, that has been a huge part of my journey with self. I have PCOS and very extreme symptoms of hair growth. right? If I pull out the hair on my chin, like not just my chin, my neck, like male pattern bald every single day with an epilator. I have to, it rips it out, right? And I've done all the things to try to remove it. Nothing works because of the androgens. And my doctor 2 days ago just said, let's put you on this medication, which blocks the androgens, and it might help with this. And here are all the side effects. And my brain, and the reason I want to talk about this is like, there's tons of side effects. And I was like going to sign up for it. After I'm 45, my whole life I've been dealing with this. And now I'm like, oh yeah, let's do that. Not saying if anyone does that's not that's wrong. I'm not saying that. But for me in my journey, wow, did it bring up a lot of things. Okay. So I think that starting there, because I'm a little feisty on that topic right now,
yes,
might be a really good place.
It's amazing. And as part of that, the nuance that like, it's not that the message here is not that don't shower, don't put on makeup, don't grow your hair long, don't wear skirts, don't, whatever. It's that, are you choosing? What we're trying to do with this conversation is to give every woman a choice and the power to determine for herself
exactly
what beauty means and what she wants to invest into it versus this unintentional autopilot default requirements that have come from the outside. Absolutely. So when it comes to hair removal, let's talk about the fact that one, we are mammals. And at what point did we decide that hair was a bad thing? And on only for some people though. Only for some mammals.
Yes, only for exactly. Yeah, and I remember looking into this and back to ancient Greece, women were removing their hair. And and I was like, wow, like because when I really started looking like how far back does this go? And why, right? And I think that's the important thing. So when I'm talking about some, like with eating, for example, and tuning into your body and say you want Oreo cookies, the questions I love to ask and have my clients ask are, do I really want it? Yes or no? And if yes, why? And do I like my reasons for that, right? Do I like my reasons for the yes?
And I like to say, do I like my reasons? I like to rephrase it as, are these reasons really mine? Because you might like the reason, but are they even your reasons?
Yeah, I really like that.
Because if they're truly your reasons, you will like them.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I'm like, so with the embodiment portion, it's like, and do I like, sorry, can you say that again?
Are they really my reasons? Like, is this reason?
Yes.
Is this like lipstick? Am I putting on lipstick? Okay. I'm putting on lipstick because, I'm dressing up for, I don't know, a ball, gala or whatever. The ball with Prince Charming.
I want to go to a ball. That'd be
right.
Cool.
Why am I putting on lipstick? Yeah. Right. Like, because sometimes we think, because I want to look good. And like, that's a good reason. I might like that reason, but then is it my reason? Is it my definition of looking good?
I love that. And to take that, what I love to teach, so that question is beautiful. And then feel it in your body. Where does it land? Right? So when I ask that question, do I like my reason for doing so? It's like, what does my body feel right now? So when I think about that, when I think, am I going to take this med? Say I said yes. Why? Because I don't want a beard anymore. Do I like my reason for doing so? When I ask that question, yes, I don't want a beard anymore. Okay. That's okay. I don't have to want a beard, right? But it's like, do I like my reason, or is that does that land with me? I don't feel light in my body. I feel a tightness in my chest. I feel like a swirling in my stomach. And to me, that's my body going, sweetheart, this isn't right for us. And so I love that part, like knowing our bodies are so wise. And when you start to tune in and really connect with her and build this relationship together, you can really decide what is right for us. Because it's my body that I would be putting this medication, and she has a say, right? Yeah. She has a say. And it's like, okay, I'm 45 almost in April. And this is something that we've really worked through together. This is something that, like I no longer cringe when my partner touches my chin and feels stubble. I no longer, I remember when I was camp leading or a camp counselor, sorry, for like kids camp. And this little girl looked up at me and she's like, "You have a beard." I was like, ugh, like I wanted to, I was dying. And the boy I had a crush on happened to be there when she said it. It was like the worst, right? And that just went, ugh. And my body was, I hated her. I was like, "You are betraying me," right? Even at that young age. And we've worked through that together. So here at this time in my life, she's like, "Honey, no, we've worked through this. It's okay. Yeah, we can pull it out with an epilator every morning. That's okay. We feel light about that. But taking meds that might actually do something more to us, no, that doesn't land well within, if that makes sense."
Oh, 100%, 100%. And even asking, why do I have hair on my chin? Right? Like, just if you're thinking about it, like it's hair on your chin that has come, with you. You were gifted with this when you came to Earth. So it's like, wait a second.
Yeah, it is. And is it actually a problem? And
is it actually a problem?
PCOS, yes, some women, it's a huge percentage of women who have PCOS, and a lot of them have like male pattern hair growth. And it's like, is that actually even a problem if that's what a lot of women have? And this is just like, is that actually even a diagnosis, or have we just created that to be?
Yeah, because when men grow beards, we don't say like, "Oh yeah, you need to like shift those hormones."
Right. Or if they have sparse beards, it's not like, "Oh, you really need to do something about that." Like this is, my guy is bald. I love it. I'm just like, right. Our bodies are our bodies. And yes, sometimes with PCOS, fertility is an issue, things like this. And yeah, we want to treat that in the ways that we can. For me, diet worked. I was able to have children through learning how to take care of that symptom, right? Not every woman can. But again, this is a personal choice, but it's really asking, is this actually a problem and why? So I think that is so empowering, and going back, like when you said, it's our personal decision, but let's just make our decisions that land well. And from a place of enoughness, not from a place of, I need to do this to be valuable to someone outside of me.
Yes. And I think that is. Right. Yeah. No, 100%. Whoever, sometimes it's just a nebulous they. Like even
we little girl at camp.
Right. Sometimes we have partners who absolutely love everything that we are, and women are still suffering about their body image because it doesn't meet what their mother wanted or what they see on TV. And I think this is probably a good time to say, like, we need to become aware. And I think sometimes this creates a lot of discomfort. The awareness that beauty standards are random and made up. I think that's the starting point. Every beauty standard is random and made up, and we don't even remember who made them up.
Yeah, we don't
anymore. Exactly. We don't even know who made it up.
Yeah, exactly. And I love your story, right? Like you growing up, you went on a carb diet for 5 days to gain weight. Meanwhile, I'm like thinking pasta is the devil at the same time, right? So and I no longer think that, but back in my diet days, and it's like, that is a perfect example of that very thing.
Yeah.
Right. Different parts of the world, different messaging, different images were being shown, right? Yeah. Different conditioning. And then we believe that is true.
Do you wonder exactly how divorced women just like you are meeting eligible men who want a real relationship and a commitment? They're doing it by dating with their core values. Your core values are the GPS that lead you to the partner you've been looking for. When you use your core values on dating apps, text messages, and at social events, you will easily connect with your true match partner without chasing, settling, or wasting time with non-committal men. I have taught exactly how to do this in the 2-hour Core Values Dating Blueprint course available on my website, shadecurry.com/dating. That's sadecurry.com/dating. You will learn exactly how to identify your core values and use them on your dating profile, how to ask the right questions via text, and how to tell the right stories on dates so that you attract the right people and repel those who aren't right for you. If you're ready to meet your true match, hop over to sadecurry.com/dating or click the link in the show notes. Now back to the episode. Yeah. And even a few hundred years ago where, curvy bodies were the beauty standard, it wasn't even an objective decision. It was just because that was the standard for the elite. Like if you were wealthy and came from a wealthy family, then you had enough money to buy a lot of really great food. And so the beauty standard that we see in in Western civilization and the paintings, that beauty standard didn't actually come from a consideration of beauty. They weren't thinking about beauty. They were thinking about their elite. Our elite look like this because they have money.
Interesting. And what's really interesting with that, now we'll watch movies, right? Or I'm thinking of Game of Thrones because I just finished that series again, right? And I know that's it's not real, but it was, that time period that we're believing it was based in, that's exactly what you're speaking of, right? Curvy, that's you look at them but what we're being fed is ultimately thin. So even that, we're
even when we're shown history's been rewritten with skinny women.
Exactly.
No, why are they all skinny?
Why are they all skinny? And they have these full, I watched Game of Thrones first time, when it first came out in 2004 and then after, and that, like I said, I'm revisiting right now and I'm what are these have you watched it?
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy it. Right. But I didn't when it first came out, I was thick into the diet mentality. So I looked at it through a different lens and now I'm watching it and I'm all of these, they pan out and it's this woman standing there, hairless, first of all, and incredibly thin with the most perky boobs you've ever seen in your entire life. I'm how do all these women have that? Through this lens now of going, holy crap, this is what's being fed to us constantly. Yeah. And if you're not aware of it, you just let it come in and believe it as truth. And then it warps your perception of what is right for you.
Yeah. And the number of images, it's not even just the kind of images, but the number, the sheer multitude of the images, social media, television. And of course, we are the TV generation, I think, that really grew up, the Gen X, the 40-somethings. We TV was our social media. And, we have been fed a whole lot of that. And now we have even more with social media layered in, with corporations using women's bodies to sell products. The awareness and fighting the establishment is one thing, but I think the first way we fight that is by just becoming aware of how it's impacting you. Because I hear a lot of people talking about, well, this is affecting our kids and our kids this, and it's affecting, and I'm start with you.
Yeah.
How is social media impacting you? Are you even aware of how it's impacting you? How is television? How are the movies impacting you individually today?
Yeah.
Because without that awareness, you're just, you're on autopilot. You're being led by the nose to a particular destination and you have no idea, what's happening. And so then if you have that low hum of dissatisfaction with your body, or that low hum of disconnection from your body, or compulsively working on your body or compulsively purchasing things, that might be coming from some of this messaging.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And oh my gosh. And I remember back when I first started dating after my marriage, my divorce, I was mid-30s. And I'm just going to get really I feel this conversation sometimes, I'm talking, we talk about curviness and boobs and like perky boobs. Many of the women, if you're dating after divorce, you have children, right? So your body has gone through that transition. And so there's a whole other stuff there to really consider and embody as your truth. And we talked about in the beginning before we push record, like, what is my definition of beauty here? Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't think, and I know that Cara teaches this too, it's like you don't go from zero, I hate my body, to I love my body, right? There's these little baby steps. And that's so important to work towards in this. So even after like listening to this podcast, it's not like I expect anyone to go, oh, I'm feeling really self-conscious about dating. And for example, even being naked in front of someone for the first time, like this is so scary to like, now I listen to this, now I have awareness. So now I'm good, right? Like really compassion, tons of compassion for yourself. With my program, It Tastes Like Freedom, and we talk about food and our body. We look at the 4 pillars. So number 1 is curiosity, and that's about awareness. Okay. That's what we just talked about. So important. Get curious, start to waken those senses up. What is right for me? Like, what is my definition of beauty? And within that, compassion, honeycoat compassion all over yourself, because this runs so deep. We don't even realize this is in our DNA, right? Epigenetics, like our grandmas dealt with this in some way, right? So this is we are doing powerful work here for ourselves and for the future. And compassion through it is essential. It is so essential. So I want to talk about vulvas. Is that okay?
Yes. 100%.
Okay. Because when I think back to when I first started dating, I was terrified because I met my husband when I was 19. He was the only person I was with. And I grew up without a lot of TV. Like we were not a hippie family, but my parents were like, TV rots your brain. So we had like a black and white that we have like the 3 channels with the rabbit ears.
Yes, I remember those.
I'm actually really grateful for that. And my mom also, she was like, no, like any of these teen magazines, anything like that it just teaches you the wrong message. Let's not have them. And I'm really grateful for that as well.
Yay, mom.
And I still got, yay, mom. Exactly. And I still got all the messaging, and I still, really like struggled, but thank goodness that was part of that. So anyways, I started dating him and married him. And then in my mid-30s, I was like aware of the fact all of a sudden that I was self-conscious of my vulva. I didn't like it. It didn't look the way that I thought, the ideal would or should. Okay. And we didn't I haven't looked at a lot of porn or whatever, but anything that I was exposed to did not look the way I look. So that was really hard.
Oh,
really hard, because all of these images or whatever, and then I started learning about like plastic surgery women were getting on themselves.
Right. And it's, even if you hadn't seen a lot of like images of vulvas, the messaging, people talking about the bush.
Yes.
Because
she had a full bush. Well,
right. And so like when I heard about women getting Brazilian waxes, I'm like, first of all, that sounds painful. I'm having none of that. I'm gonna. But when I think about, things like that, I'm like, how did that become a thing? It's not that people shouldn't get waxes or should get waxes, but how did a standard?
Exactly. It's like, you need to be hairless and your labia need to look a certain way. And if you've had babies, you should probably get all that tightened up, right?
Just think of the word tighten up.
I know. Like, I remember I just remembered this. Whoa. I forgot about this. I had 3 cesareans, and I remember my ex actually going, oh, too bad. Like, it would have been nice to have gotten an extra stitch. Like after I had babies, when I didn't even have babies vaginally, right? But he was disappointed because
that you didn't get to like stitch up Oh my
Yes,
God.
because I remember like, whoa, this is, can we coach through this? No, I'm okay.
Which
I'm okay.
actually, no, but which actually brings up one of the things we wanted to talk about, which was women's bodies, all of this, the hair, the waxes, the tightening, the shaving, the beauty, the long hair, all of it. The messaging is that your body is meant for someone else.
Yep.
Your body is meant to look and feel pleasing to someone else. That is the whole message. Words like birthing hips, probably heard that.
Oh,
so in the case of like
they're
like I remember birthing hips. So your body needs to look like it can propagate the human race, but then it also needs to look like what, quote unquote, I'm holding up quotes, men want, whatever that is. And it also needs to stay that way forever, or something has gone wrong.
Yeah, it's like you need to look fertile, right? So, certain level of curves and youth and all of this, and then, but you need to, but
it needs to be what we want. It needs to not go beyond what a man wants to look at.
Yeah, it's like, and it needs, now you need to look a certain way so then you are attractive and alluring so that you can actually be fertilized, right? This vessel, and then have this child. And then after, everything needs to go back to
the alluring.
Before. Yes. And just.
And again, it needs to stay that way because aging also plays into this, where women above the age of fertility are then considered irrelevant, invisible, in society.
My mom and I just had that conversation a couple of weeks ago, and she's in her late 60s, and she is like, I'm invisible, and she was crying about it. And she's like, it is so hard. And we had such a beautiful conversation about it. And she's like, I feel like 10% better, so that's good. But it is the messaging of that, of what is our value, really, what is our worth and why. And then we become, once we are no longer able to have children, and anyways, I'm just I'm holding my head awareness.
I know this, we're just scratching the surface of how deep the messaging, the cultural narrative, the socialization and the conditioning goes. Like,
it is so deep.
It is so deep. And we say this not because we want to like unravel everything, but we're trying to communicate, listeners, that if you feel terrible about your body, it is not your fault.
Absolutely. And that's that curiosity, right? We're getting curious in this conversation. If it goes so deep to like, even you must be hairless down there and you must look a certain way. And then you must go back to that certain way and all of this. And it's curiosity. Like, honey, if you're listening to this, give yourself a big hug. Of course, this is a struggle. It's okay that it is, but you're not alone. And these conversations need to happen everywhere. And that's where I'm like, let's talk about, the hair on my chin, but let's also talk about like, that's like our private parts that no one really talks about. And this is such a huge issue for so many women who are newly dating. So many women, it's so deep. And if we don't feel like we have a voice with each other to be able to express these insecurities and to be able to like get curious and love ourselves and love each other through these types of conversations, it keeps us caged. So I want to talk about like everything. Everything.
Hear you.
What is it that we struggle with? And let's love with compassion ourselves through it. Yeah, right. And then the next two parts of the pillars that I've created are permission and pleasure. Right. So for me, one of the things when I first started dating, and this is still a part, it's like, what do I need to give myself permission for, and to be able to love and really it's respect my body. And like that goes into love, right? And appreciate her more. So permission to talk about this stuff openly.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Right? Like talk about it. And when I first started talking about, and I'll go back to the vulva thing, because that was a big thing for me. And I know it's a big thing for many women. When I started talking about that openly, right? Like on social media, with my girlfriends, like with clients, it freed me to such a degree that I was like, oh, it took the charge out. So this is why this conversation about whatever it is so important.
Yeah, I love that. And I think, like you said, let's talk about, because I have coached women through this, not on the vulva. No one's asked me about that yet in their dating journey, but I have coached multiple clients on their boob size.
They will be now.
They will be now. They'll be like, she wants to hear about this. Yes. Because if it's there in your subconscious, or if it's something that's bringing up anxiety or worry for you, it is going to impact your ability to date in a way that is healthy and in a way that like connects you with the right partner. So boob size. So we'll just kind of go down, and maybe you'll do like a little mini coaching for each one of these.
Yeah.
Boob size, especially with women who have smaller boobs, and maybe their whole lives they've been wearing padded bras. Just like you and me, got married at a young age, and basically, quote unquote, wasn't really an issue until now they're dating again. So not only are they dating again, they're like, oh my God, every time I go on a date, this person sees me with this padded bra. Yeah. And then if I ever commit to that person, then they're going to see. And it's that moment of the big reveal. Yeah. That's been a thing. Then there are,
and I want to add to that as well, if I may. Again, it's like there's this cultural, societal messaging that there's like if you think back to Game of Thrones, they're all a certain size, right? Which is bigger, and their nipples are here, right? So like, yes. So I have larger boobs. And so that was never an issue. Padded bras were never something that I've ever owned. But taking the bra off and the boobs going,
and gravity doing what gravity does.
Yes, gravity doing what gravity does after children and aging, and just the way our bodies are made, even, right? Like we're not all made with these perky boobs. Like that's not how we all mature. So
never been made that way. Like there has never been a time on this planet where all women have had the same size, color, shape of anything. It was never meant to be that way.
Absolutely. It never was. And now we have these messages. So yes, small boobs or big boobs, or, that are not perky and perfect. And all of this, no matter what you, listener, are dealing with, like it is okay because of the messages. And let's have, again, compassion with that. So if you have larger breasts and you're like, oh, I'm still insecure about that. Of course you are. Of course you are. Yeah. Right? Like yes, of course. And then for me, like to get super vulnerable here, I had plastic surgery, but I had inverted nipples. So my nipples were like non-existent. But I had only been with Andrew, my ex-husband, and he was great. He was lovely about that. Never an issue. And then also I started dating, and it was like, holy crap, this is terrifying. So terrifying that I had it surgically corrected. I personally do not regret that. For me, it was actually the right decision. My body felt good about that. It's like, yeah, you know what? I want nipples, and that's okay. And I'm going to get them. Right. Yeah. And that's another thing too. But it was like, again, why do I want this? Is it my reason? Right. Yes, it is. And then I had that. Right.
Yes.
So yeah. So anyways, that's the boob.
That's amazing. I love that, because I mean, in your journey, it was like the nipples are okay as long as my partner accepts them. And then that triggering moment where the big fear, my partner in the future may not accept them. This is a problem.
Yes.
And bringing the decision, again, I just want to repeat, the decisions are not bad. I wear makeup. I have extensions. I'm currently wearing hair that I purchased from the store. And I feel good about that, right? And there are days when I'm like, I want to shave my hair, right? Yeah. But when I make the decision about what to do, whether to shave my hair on my head or wear extensions or get braids, it's pausing in that moment and saying, am I making this decision for me? Or am I panicked and worried that some person out there is not going to like what they see? And that's a journey. Like, I think that's where you were going, was like, there's a journey between that. Oh, wait, I've been so socialized. I'm completely making all these decisions based on cultural programming.
Yeah.
And then that decision to like permission, curiosity, all the steps in between to, and when we, and we'll talk about body positivity a little bit, that journey to like, I have my own standard of beauty. I have sat with it. I have chosen it. Since other people can make it up, I can make it up too, whether it's the color of your skin, the length of your hair, whatever it is. And now I have decided what my standard of beauty is. And then the actions come after.
Yes. From
whether you get the surgery.
Yes. Embodied place of your own truth. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was permission. I think my understanding was like curiosity and permission are part of that middle in your program. What is the last pillar?
So it's not like a linear, it's very nonlinear. So they all play in together, right? So it's like, sometimes I'm like, oh my goodness, like I'm really needing to get into curiosity here, or like this is an opportunity for pleasure. So it's not one after the other, but the other one that plays in with them all, this big, beautiful pot of soup we get to play with, right? Is pleasure. How can I love my body, right? How can I make her feel alive? What makes her feel alive? What foods feel so good and energetic and help me sleep better and feel so yummy and delicious, right? Like all of these things. And like, how can I dress myself in a way that makes me feel so juicy and delicious, like I love wearing pretty earrings. And to me, that just feels like fun. It's not because someone will look at me and be like, oh, she's acceptable. It's because I just think it's so fun. Right. And so it's like, once you can get into that curiosity and redefine your beauty on your own terms, then you get to go into the pleasure. Right now, with playing with this, what feels great for me, having like nipples that stood out was very pleasurable. It is. I love them. I love my boobs, and it's a play thing. It's just like, this is so cool, and I remember just feeling like kind of ripped off because I think nipples look super sexy and I love them. So I was like,
and I love that. I think what I'm hearing is that it was almost like the goal. You redefined what the body was for. Our bodies, and like for yourself, and I think I just really connect with that, was my body is for feeling good, which you would think would be like a really basic thought that we would all have.
But when we're taught that our body is so someone else can feel good, that is very profound. It's very profound, right? So it's like, my pleasure is my own pleasure. Do I want to be able to make love to my partner and have nipples? Because I find that pleasurable, right? So, I mean, this is my very personal example, but like whoever's listening, like make it your own example, right? Most women have nipples, so this doesn't really relate to most, right? But it's like, oh, my dog is, you can probably hear my dog.
No, we can't hear the dog. The dog is fine.
Okay.
Everyone listening, the dog is amazing and terribly cute. And I got very distracted earlier. So,
and he's a bit of a rascal right now.
I kind of want to like, because I think what came to my mind when you were talking about pleasure, and I was thinking about, because one of my struggles is style, right? And I think I do struggle with style, have struggled with style. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. And I think one of the reasons I have like struggled with style is because there is a cultural norm wherever you go for how to dress, what to wear, blah, blah, blah. But pleasure for me is like, to feel like I'm not, it's not a medical thing.
Yeah.
I might just be like a little bit of when I went to a particular church like 20 years ago. My pastor used to refer to like, if you did like, he just used the term flesh creature.
Okay.
Just, I won't go into all that, what that meant.
Flesh creature.
That's like the word that I would use for it, is that like, I don't like feeling physically uncomfortable in my clothes. And many of the clothing that like I had to wear to work in the corporate world and professionally was just like, it was always tight and like itchy and like, and it was like, and so recently, especially because I've become a coach and people talk about branding and blah, blah, blah. And one of the reasons I still haven't done a lot of branding work is that the clothes don't feel good to me.
Well, that is your brand. Feel great in your body. Right.
I know. So
I live on the west coast of Canada in this small little town, and I live in leggings and great cozy shirts and, and that is actually who I am. So my brand is comfortable. It's cozy. It's pleasure in my body, right? Yes. I love like the shirt I'm wearing right now. It's really soft and I love soft clothing. Like I love how it feels. It's so cozy. That is my brand. So that is your brand. Own it. Right.
Exactly. And I agree, and I have just been like, oh yeah, like I don't, and I've just been like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do that because what it looks like to others is not as important to me as how it feels on my skin.
Yeah. Flesh creature.
Literally. And I have just been like, if it feels good, I put it on. So, and sometimes what feels good is like, it looks corporate. Sometimes it looks, I don't know, feminine. Sometimes it looks, sort of masculine. Sometimes it looks like really dressed down. And I'm like, yeah, but it feels good. And like you said, that is the brand. And I think just women having permission to make more and more of those definitions around what we wear, what we put on, what we do to our bodies, procedures that we choose.
Yeah.
Having it come from that place of like, oh, my body's for my pleasure. How I look is for my pleasure first and foremost.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
Absolutely. Totally. And I also do want to put in like, it's okay to want to I want to be careful how I word this, whatever, interpret it as you want. I think everyone will understand my intention, but it's like, it's okay to want to look attractive to your spouse, to your partner, right? Like I do dress sometimes in ways that I know that my partner loves, right? I'll wear certain pants that he's like, oh, your butt looks great in those, or, and that is okay. And that's part of your pleasure as well, because you can, it's not like for him, it's for you guys. And
it's a both and. So whatever it is you're wearing in that moment is attractive to him and in your pleasure.
Exactly. And that's where I think tuning into your body, does this feel good to me? Or am I just doing this for him? Right. But it's like, no, this actually, I feel great in this and it's fun. And he thinks I look sexy and woohoo. Right. So it is, I think it really is coming back to, again, that curiosity and feeling it as your truth and then being free with it, being free. And so just loving this vessel that your soul is having this journey in, right? Like our bodies, I love to think of ourselves as it's like, I remember growing up and learning about the Trinity, like in church, as far as like the eggs, right? So you have like the three parts of the Trinity, and then and if someone didn't get raised in the church, whatever, that doesn't matter. But, for this analogy, if you don't understand it, that's okay. But it's like, there's three parts. There's the shell, there's the white, and there's the yolk. It's the same for us, right? I think of us as like, we are soul spirit creatures. We are this energetic being that happens to be having a ride on earth in this body. So that's the second part. And then we have our brain, which is the third part that gets to kind of carry us through and make these decisions, So I think it's so important to go for like, what's right for me? And you feel that in your heart's mind. What is right for me? This is your soul speaking. What is my definition of beauty? What is pleasurable to me? What is right for me? That is my soul. I feel that in my heart. And then we use our mind, our brain's mind, to help us move in that direction. So this is how the three parts can like interplay together and carry us through in this human experience in a very powerful, soul-centered, heart-centered, dynamic way. And when we can tap into that and really live in that, the world just opens up for us, you know?
Yes. And it's an individual journey.
Yes, it is.
It really is, especially because you have to go inward. You have to look at what is my body for? And I think sometimes we, especially when we're like on this growth journey, so we're on this growth journey and maybe we're following coaches or reading books and we're like trying to learn how to do this that we're talking about. And sometimes along the way, we hear something and the frame of reference, there can be a mismatch in the frame of reference in what we're being taught about, like how to love our bodies and what it actually means. Like sometimes things get lost in translation, and then sometimes the mistranslation gets propagated throughout social media. And I wanted to kind of, bring that up because you just beautifully described what that journey looks like. And a woman can go on that journey and be like, oh, I love my body. And then she goes on social media and says, hey, everybody, you need to love your body. But she doesn't describe that journey the way you did. Yeah. And I've seen it get propagated as like what some people are labeling the body positivity movement, which is a good thing, by the way. However, I just want to throw out that there's a lot of nuance to what that might look like for the individual. Yeah. Because I know women who are standing in front of the mirror naked, telling themselves, I love my body, I love my body, I love my body. But the subtext to that statement is, even though it's round, even though my boobs sag, even though.
Absolutely.
But they're trying to get to this like wonderful level of loving their body, and they're wondering why it's so hard for them. And then it almost feeds the thinking again. Yeah, I can't love my body because my body isn't right. Other people, I see Lizzo, she loves her body, right? And she's able to love her body and sing about being a curvy woman and everything. And I'm trying to do that here and it's not working. So there must be something wrong with me.
And I think there's also that thing, okay, I love my body, I love my body, I love my body. And then it's like, okay, I want to put eyelashes on.
Well, is that okay? If I love my body?
Wrong? Exactly. Like how does this go then? And and so absolute body neutrality.
Yeah,
I know that's where you're going, right?
I know, and I wanted to bring that up. Is like, and even the definition of body neutrality is like, it's still such an individual. Like, so we don't want to start a body neutrality movement. We want to offer body positivity, body neutrality, a whole spectrum of landing spots for women to choose.
Absolutely.
You can choose what the end of this journey looks like for you. It doesn't have to look like anyone else. Like for me, I mean, I love my body, but not in the way people like, just because I don't have a frame of reference that's very much about like external beauty and things like that. Like that's not my landing spot. My landing spot, I think if I were to describe it, is health. Is my body healthy? Do I feel good in it? Do I feel energetic? Do I feel like I can get up and go? Like all of that. I hate waking up in the morning and not feeling like 99% of to me, that's like, and then I guess you could say for me, it's like, am I presentable? Maybe that I've never put it in words, but my landing spot is some combination. And every once in a while, I want to look amazing, but like it's not a big deal. So it's our landing spots, the end, quote unquote, end of the journey is going to be different for every single woman.
And that goes back to your own internal truth, right?
Yeah.
And for me, body neutrality has been a huge part of my journey of going, I don't have to love everything. I don't have to be like, because there's this idea of, okay, I'm coaching women in this all day. And, am I out of integrity? If I look in the mirror and go, oh my goodness, like, my thighs or whatever. Right. And it's like, right. No, it's okay. And it goes back to, it's okay, sweetheart. Like I'm holding my hands like a cup, because this is one of the primary tools that I teach and that I use. It's like putting yourself, your little self, like all of this stuff and all of who you are in your hands and looking, it's okay, like reparent yourself through it. Right. So for me, it's like, right, my thighs are neutral. And society is going to tell me things about them, right? And I have this conditioning about them. And I get to choose how I want to think about them because they really are just neutral. So coming back to that has been huge, huge for me. And the respect part, the respect and that appreciation.
I love that so much.
Huge. You know, like sometimes we're never going to be able to get to the place of I love maybe parts of your body or whatever, but we can always go in, and I believe it's available to us to appreciate and to respect, right? Like, look, do I love the stretch marks? I love what they brought. I love my baby. You know, I love the experience of being pregnant. I love being pregnant. Man, I just felt so beautiful and really sexy when I was pregnant. It was a very amazing time for me in my body. Yeah. And then, so looking now at the stretch marks and stuff, it's like, wow, do I love this? I can't say I do. I'm not like, ooh, these stretch marks. Yeah. But I love the memory that they bring to me of my pregnancies, right? I love these little people, now big people, big teenagers in my house that, you know, that did that in my tummy, like in their growth. And it's like, I can respect. And yeah, there's I'm actually, it's interesting because I am feeling like this, like softness and this element of love, you know, in my body right now for that. But this is the journey and staying curious with it and being able to go, right. Yeah. What would that look like for me? What would love actually look like? You know, and even like,
and I love what you said about respect and appreciation, because I think, and this is my opinion, I think that is accessible to all of us, to respect our bodies and to appreciate our bodies.
I had one client who actually said, I can't respect, like that feels her but she had a lot of triggers around even that word respect, right?
Okay, so, got it. That makes sense. Yes. Yeah. The frame of reference is important. Again,
it absolutely is. But appreciate is something she can hold on to, right? Yeah. So
even if you didn't have children, think about it. Like right now, if you are listening to this, your body is doing something. It is like doing its work. Your ears, or if you're using captions or whatever, or reading the transcript, your body is performing an act of service for you in this moment.
Yeah. This is our, like, it's our ride on this earth, you know?
Yeah, right. Like you were talking about the stretch marks, and what I was thinking was, I mean, I have stretch marks. I don't think about them so much, but I was like thinking about my belly. I was like, it is holding all of my organs in right now. 100% of my organs are not spilling out on the floor.
100% of them. I love 100% of my organs
are a good thing. Thank you, body, for keeping my liver in.
It is. And then I love, because of the embodiment part, right? Like when we really become embodied creatures, these flesh creatures, whatever your pastor called it, I love that, right? But it's like when we can start to wake up these senses externally and internally and really like go, oh my goodness, body, you are capable of so much feeling. And I get to experience the world and my life through these internal and external felt senses. That is a gift that your body alone gives you. Nothing else. You can't experience that without this body. So it is. It's just
so good.
Going into this primal state of like, this is who I am.
And intentionally, and I know this is a little bit of a side, a digression, but I think it will be helpful, intentionally leaning into that experience. Oh, yeah. So my therapist said, hey, okay, let's go to your senses. Cause you know, I was having challenges, like, I mean, for many, many years, childhood, first marriage, I was very disconnected from my body for all the reasons that we know. She was like, okay, so let's go through all your senses. How can you lean into connecting through your senses and experiencing pleasure? She's like, what do you like to smell? And I was like, okay. I was like, I like essential oils. I'm not an essential. I was about to say I'm not an essential oils dealer because sometimes it feels that way. I have a dealer.
I have a dealer as well. She's great. But yes, I hear you.
And I realized that I have all kinds of oils, but I wasn't intentionally saying, okay, I'm done with work tonight. I'm going to grab my lavender and just like lean into that. Grab a candle and turn it on. And then she's like, okay, so then what do you like to listen to? And I was like, I like classical music. I like this kind of gospel music. I like this kind of music. I like jazz. And she's like, okay, put it on your calendar. Turn on some jazz music on Saturday morning.
I love your therapist. That's
my therapist is amazing. She is a ninja. And she went through all of my senses, and then we added on movement. How do I like to move? What kind of movement is pleasurable to my body? I was like, I love yoga. I love dancing. And she's like, Shadi, you have got to put these on your calendar because you have been disconnected for so long. Your brain doesn't go there. Your brain does not intentionally schedule and remind you to lean into your bodily experience. And I was like, okay. And it's just been life-changing.
Yes, embodiment it absolutely is. And can I add to this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Please.
So there's a practice that I love called primal feminine flow. So what your therapist was talking about, most of that is like the external senses. So you're experiencing something and then you're bringing it in. Okay. So primal feminine flow takes you deep into your internal senses. So just a little basic sort of Coles notes. I think in the US, we call them Cliff Notes. Canada, we call them Coles Notes. So anyways, like little Coles Notes version, you get on all fours and you put on music that moves you, right? Just like the music that you're talking about. I have like a whole, oh my gosh, you can put it in your show notes. It's called Embody. And it's music that I use for this practice that I share with my clients. Okay. So if you want, that can be a gift. It's on Spotify. So anyways, you get on all fours and you start listening, and you, first of all, you breathe. You just breathe and you allow yourself to go into your emotions, these feelings that you're feeling inside your body. And this can be really hard to do at first when we're disconnected, but let's start waking ourselves up, waking these sensations up. And so notice, how am I feeling, right? What am I feeling as far as emotions? And I say this because it's the best way to start to kind of like get into it. Okay. So it's like, okay, right now I'm feeling sad. Okay. Where do I feel that in my body? I feel that, and I don't actually feel sad right now. This is an example, right? But it's like, okay, I feel that in my stomach, or I'm feeling that in my shoulders. Okay. I'm going to move into my shoulders. I'm going to feel this through movement in my stomach. So I might curve my body. I might like go into a fetal position. So whatever you're feeling internally as in these sensations, you move your body to accentuate it. You move it to like really like go into that more. I'm feeling angry. I'm going to clench my fists and I'm going to like, tense up my body. And then I'm going to relax. Right. So all of these, or I'm feeling super sensual. Okay. I'm going to move like this and I'm going to flow. So primal feminine flow, it's nonlinear. So like with yoga, there's, okay, you're doing your flows, right? And this is great. And you might use some yoga practices in this practice, in this experience, but this is about getting out of your mind and into your body, letting her move. Okay. And then the other parts we talked about, breath, movement, and then there's sound. So we want to, right? I'm feeling sad. Right? Or I'm feeling sensual. Okay. So you allow your sensations of internal to be expressed through your breath, movement, and sound. And you don't have to have music on, but it definitely does. If you can get a playlist like the one I'm going to share or whatever, create one for yourself that feels really connected to you, that makes your body go, okay, I want to move here. Right. So you can also, you don't have to do it on all fours, but I love that because it's very primal, right? It's getting into this, like this, this animalistic part of.
Well, we are kind of animals. We are animals.
We are. Yes.
We're mammals. So there is a part of us that is very much biology and just flesh.
Yes, exactly. And I think another thing I'll say with this is watch your movements and just get curious with no judgment. It's just like, what's here for me? When I started doing this, I noticed I would kind of move more sensually often than not. And that was actually a conditioning that I realized was happening of like, this is what is beautiful for a female body, kind of like this is, and I still do that. And it does feel wonderful, but it's like, sometimes we need to move in anger. Sometimes we need to do what might appear to look like ugly. That's a whatever word, but like not pleasing to the other person or anyone's eye. This is for you and for you alone. This is for you and for you alone. And allowing your body to move in the way that she wants to. This builds so much like deep trust in yourself. Your relationship will strengthen. You will start to wake up these internal felt senses and be able to tune into your emotions more, be able to move through your emotions and process them more. Like, I believe that this practice is one of the most powerful things we can do for ourselves in all areas, especially our body image, for sure.
Oh, wow. That was amazing. Like, what a gift. I'm like, it's like riveted. I'm like, no, but that. I was like, internal senses. I'm like, yeah, I never thought about my internal senses. Like,
yeah.
Oh, good. Oh my God.
And we're taught to suppress them, right?
Yes.
And when we're so focused on our external appearance, we do lose connection with what our body is actually here for. And those internal felt senses, it is a whole other universe that we are not taught. It's actually, we're very embodied as little girls. I would say most of us, like, we move and we feel and we growl and, all the things. And these are like taught, like, they're pushed out of us. They're conditioned out of us.
Yeah,
so this
girls don't do that. Little girls don't do that.
Exactly.
Like, that's not cute. Yeah.
Yeah. So this comes back to that. And it's a whole part of us that we get to rediscover and reawaken. And it is mind-blowing, to say the least.
Yes, ma'am. That was mind-blowing. That was mind-blowing. Thank you, Chanci, for sharing that. And I think this is probably a good place to just wrap up.
Yeah. Feels
wrap
good.
Up.
Feels complete.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Yes, that was beautiful. And how, if women want to experience this, embodied feminine flow, just learn this practice of connecting with their internal senses. Again, everything else we've talked about that I know you work on the nutrition, you work on them embodying, you have this flow, you have your 4 pillars. Where can they find you to learn more? I'm obviously learning about it. I'm like, wow, that's so if you want to do an embodied feminine flow,
primal feminine flow.
Primal feminine flow. Not quite the coach for you yet. However,
you can find me at chancidon.com. That's my website. And Instagram. Come play with me on Instagram. Yeah. It's something that, I'm having a lot more fun on. It used to kind of intimidate me as like, oh my gosh. But yeah, that's where I'm on there. Yeah, so come on there, connect with me, message me if you want to connect, more personally. And I just love connecting with women who are ready for this work. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And, as you were talking about.
Oh, I also have a podcast.
Oh, yes. Yes.
It Tastes Like Freedom. That's my podcast. And so, yes, that would be a great place to connect as well and go deeper with this work for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing, Chanci. As you were talking, just then I was like, it almost sounds like I have a part of my work where I teach my clients to reconnect with their intuition. And I was like, I think this is like a piece of that. Absolutely. That I don't have in there just now. And I'm like, okay. So yeah, because you train, when they're listening to themselves about the guy that they're dating and things like that, and just the conditioning to shut that off, to make it more pleasing, to change. And I have a process that I walk them through, but I was like, how much could that be magnified if they had a piece of, a physical practice, as part of that. So you and I will probably be talking about that.
Sounds like a plan. I just love it.
All right.
So good.
Listeners, I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. Chanci, thank you for being here. Everyone, we appreciate you so much. We appreciate your time and attention. We will see you next time.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening today. If you are ready to get married after divorce, I want to invite you to download my free 8-video training specifically designed to help divorced women date with ease and get married again. Head over to sadecurry.com to get started. That's SADECURRY.com. I'll see you inside.